Hi, I'm gonna
Hi,
get him in there.
I'm Jaeger. I'm Lauren's boyfriend.
Okay, let's find a position for this. Sorry, this should
What,
have
right
been
now?
no, just right here.
Different kind of
Oh my god. There, that gives both of us. Okay.
lie. Okay.
So yeah, we were just was just getting him caught up on what we were kind of talking about. And then we're going back to like why people can have like these breaks with psychedelics. And yes, go. You have a thought.
Yeah, I was kind of listening to an interview about this reporter guy. I forget his name. Is a pretty big guy. Did a lot of psychedelics earlier, and he ended up getting HPPD, which is hallucinogen persistent perception disorder. Is basically when in a way, hallucinogens fry your brain, and you kind of are always in this psychedelic state. But a lot of people can't handle that, and the cure for it, apparently, one of them is alcohol. Because, well, guess what? It lowers your vibration out of that, right? So you don't have to deal with the reality that what you just found out about yourself is that you're God, and you're just in this vessel observing yourself doing these things. You're playing a role. You're putting on a persona. You're a person putting on a persona for this entire play that is here on Earth, right? And just some people, I don't know, they just can't seem to be able to handle that, and that's okay. Everyone's at different spots, right?
Yeah, it would seem. I think that, like I was kind of saying earlier, it's like, it's hard to acknowledge the responsibility of what we are really a part of as co-creators of our reality, because we're constant. Most people are in some degree of that victim mentality of life is happening to them, not for them,
Yeah.
and that they feel out of control, because taking control of your reality, is accepting the responsibility of what you're putting out as well.
So how does that look in a practical kind of way for somebody? Like, how does it look for you? After we had that big old trip,
Yeah.
what did it make me realize about how you could actually control your reality?
I think I think the secret to controlling your reality is getting into the heart vibration,
Yeah.
the heart space, because it's everything else is going to be done with resistance. If you're acting from a place, a heart-centered place, you're not fighting up the current, you're going with the flow.
Yeah.
More. And I think that's where I was at after our trip earlier this year. I was really, I felt my energy more here, like in my heart and solar plexus area. And I've deviated from that by like slipping back into some bad habits of like
Right.
some bad diet habits, some bad mental habits in some ways. So it's like a practice of becoming aware of those things and choosing to do better.
Yeah.
And learning what that better is, because some of it is unknown. And that's why I think that we've both been finding a lot of insight in the practices of the Essenes,
Yes.
because like getting out of dogmatic ideas of what spirituality should look like, and more into the way of being,
Right.
just like that, like less of the, it's like more of a lifestyle change in general.
Yeah, it is.
Not the religious aspect of doing things in a specific way, but just the overall heart space.
It's like the purpose behind the things that you're doing versus just doing a ritual for the sake of the ritual.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. That's a big one for a lot of religious people. It's probably gonna trigger the fuck out of them too, right? Way that you can't just say a bunch of magic words if the intention behind them isn't quite there. You have to be fully like embodied in the spirit here on Earth when you're making these moves. Is that kind of what you're getting at there?
Yeah. I'm also stoned now, so I'm kind of rambling.
Well, maybe I should catch up with you then. This is supposedly really good weed.
I might have ruined the flow of the live stream.
You know,
How
we'll
is
get
Adam?
back into a flow.
People ask me about Adam. I know he hasn't. He's doing all right. I haven't talked to him for a little while.
Yeah,
I messaged him though, but
nice.
he's always slow getting back to me, slow getting back to everybody. Yeah, I think I don't want to speak too much for him, but I think he might be like brewing a little bit of a redirection on his channel. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's my intuitive sense of things. He's got a lot to share though, let me tell you. He's just he's just got life stuff. Like he's a dad. You got to remember he's got 2 little kids and he's in the real world just like the rest of us. And the real world is freaking crazy for everybody right now, I think.
Well, real. What is real, right?
That.
So, can I share an experience that I kind of had on our last trip as well? That was kind of cool.
Oh, that was memorable, yes.
Ooh.
That's a good crunch. Yeah, it's never funny.
No, I'm not laughing. I'll laugh for you. So, a kind of cool thing happened. I was taking, we took mushrooms together, and one of my purposes behind a pretty big dose was to have an out-of-body experience because I've been close. I've had some cool ones. I was trying to get really out of body. But then, mushrooms do their thing, and they kind of redirect you to where they think you should be going, right? I've been suffering with back pain for a long time, so that's root chakra issues for me, being grounded here on this world. And what was happening in that case, it's like my higher self didn't quite want to leave my body so much as like the higher self was really trying to embody itself into me. It was a very visceral feeling, like more of my spirit was coming down and try and get in there, but that root chakra issue was not allowing me to ground in here so much. But I think that's kind of like the taking responsibility aspect as well. It's really taking responsibility for your full spiritual self and trying to embody that here on earth, right? Be in this world but not of this world kind of situation versus the other way around. I find before, for me personally, it's like I was almost using it as a way, yes, to gain more knowledge of what lies beyond, but I think we're getting a pretty good understanding now. I mean, mysteries abound still, but I was using it almost as a way to escape, and my higher self told me, no, I don't want to escape. I actually want to be here. Decide. You're between
Yes.
2 worlds.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So I have a couple things to add into that. I think I've mentioned it before in videos, but I know that like earlier in my psychedelic journey and spiritual like awakening, you could say, such a overused term, I feel like, but that's what it is. Sorry, when we got here.
Are we becoming religious?
I wouldn't say, no, it's
Not
like
quite
the
the opposite, I'd
opposite of religious, more spiritual.
Yeah.
We are ascending past religion. Exactly. Religion has been, you can see it as a tool, but it's been limited. It's... Anyways.
What was it, the Bob Lazar thing you found? Or sorry, you have another thought? That basically religion teaches us to have a good vessel for the higher spirit, but it is not the spirit.
Right. So if you guys have heard, I don't know if you guys have heard of Bob Lazar. He was on the Joe Rogan. He's the guy that talked about being in the Los Alamos factory where they worked on reverse engineering alien crafts and stuff like that. So this is a really old clip that was circulating on Instagram that I reposted, and he was basically saying the stuff that I was saying like back in January post our trip, where it was like,
that's right, the big one.
yeah, and where I was like, these entities need our vessels, our bodies, to be as clean and pure as possible so that we can bring that higher energy down here in onto the planet. Now, my further like what I've gotten more from, you know, our recent trip is even more so. Oh yeah, so this ties it back to what I was saying before. Like, we are bridges for consciousness.
Yes.
We are, our vessels are finely tuned instruments for consciousness. It's like Graham Hancock has said, you know, like in, or I don't think it was just Graham Hancock. It's other people have said this too. But like we're like a TV and antenna receiving consciousness.
Yes.
Consciousness exists with or without us, but there's frequencies, higher frequencies of consciousness that want to be embodied on the planet to make this place a better place. And they are us. It is us. It's our higher selves. That we are the aliens, you guys.
We are?
We are the aliens.
Yes.
We are the aliens. And the more that you connect with your truth and who you truly are, the more disclosure happens. The more we remember who we truly are in this universe, and we get to remember our abilities together. I think that it's something that we are meant to receive together, not individually. I think that's why people like this call is happening now, and you know, like, religious people are finding their way back to the truth of what is in their religions, the spirituality of it, the truth that is the undercurrent. Everyone experiences the same journey. Yeah, that's like the whole, like, let's dose the water supply with acid, right? We all just need to trip. It's not necessary. The people, you know, people who are tripping have a tool available to them where we can choose to bring that knowledge back and lead that example for other people to see. The more that we practice that truth, that we are all one, and we treat each other with that kindness, compassion, and love, and empathy, and understanding of that fact, then it ripples out, and we have that impact in that passive way. It's you can't knowledge this at people.
No.
That's exactly what Jesus tried to tell people. Like, you cannot tell people what the way is. You have to be the way. And it's not a perfect, it's a practice.
Yeah. Walk the path.
Walk the path. Exactly. But
so,
yeah.
So relating to that thought about who are the aliens, right? We get to meet aliens. So when we realized we are the aliens, we kind of had two options. One of our options was, I felt on that acid trip, and Lauren felt it too. It was kind of almost telepathic. Let's go for a walk right now, because we both felt if we go for a walk, we kind of live near a nice wooded area where there are not that many people, then we would have seen aliens or UFO. But instead of like an exogenous experience, exteroception, we had an interoception of realizing, holy crap, the aliens we're looking for, the God you seek, right? It's within. So this might not be what a lot of people want to hear. I find that are really out there looking for aliens, but you will find that the aliens will contact you within yourself, within your mind, and you will realize that you actually are them. And I think that holds even way more power.
Yeah.
And once we become that, then maybe external contact may happen, but contact has to happen within first.
And I think that's what they really actually don't want us to know.
Right.
And that's, I feel like we're getting this psychedelic, this injection of psychedelic culture that's very superficial, right? And
yeah, there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of and here's another thing too. You get the superficial psychedelic party culture, and then you get the new age people talking about how evil reptilians are. Okay. I actually think that this is subconscious programming for people to fear themselves,
Yeah.
to fear themselves. There is something that connects humanity, and there's a reason why dragons and serpents are such a universal symbol of the alchemical process of death and rebirth.
I think Ouroboros.
Yes, and the sacred knowledge of basically the alchemical process is what the dragon represents, the serpent represents. And there's a reason why there's been such a deep spiritual reverence for, you know, this archetype, because it's a reference to our reference to something within humanity.
So, what does the serpent represent? Is it the divine feminine?
I think so. The divine, yeah, the divine feminine.
So, I think Robert Seffer talks about this. In Atlantis, they had a lot of imagery of the serpent because they were ruled in a more matriarchal kind of society, but more feminine style, right? Difference between ruled by masculine and ruled by feminine. When masculine gets a lot of power, what did we as guys do? It's like, oh, fuck yeah, let's hoard this, right? We want to become more powerful and get more riches, draw more in, right? Feminine comes across a bunch of riches. And what does the feminine, like the divine feminine energy, what does it tend to do? Well, it tends to give it and share, right? And be compassionate. That's the compassion. So in a lot of imagery you see in modern times, there is a serpent is being killed by an eagle. So you see a lot of eagle imagery. Think about the Roman Empire, you saw it. Like in Russia, you got the two-headed eagle as well. And the most interesting one that's directly showing this actually is the Mexican flag. Have you ever looked at it?
Yeah.
It's the golden eagle, the symbol of Mexico,
Piercing.
eating that serpent.
Yeah,
right?
eating the serpent, yeah.
But okay, let me ask you something else. So who is the serpent too?
Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah. So they have there the belief in the plumed serpent that basically came out of the heavens. It gave the Mesoamericans knowledge, right? I think it was the Aztecs specifically there that had Quetzalcoatl. I think it was Kukulkan in the Maya tradition, and all the way down through South America, you see the serpent being venerated. What the conquistadores do when they come and just destroy those cultures, they destroy all of the imagery of the serpent as well, deem the serpent as the devil, and then instill their like ego-based, if you want to call it, but the unholy masculine kind of imposition of a system there that's top down. That's the pyramid scheme kind of power, with the very top controlling the vast majority through manipulation. So why is this being suppressed now? Because if we go back to the divine feminine, if we let women rule the world, well, what's going to happen, right? They don't want that for some reason.
Well, the theory is that at one point the divine feminine was out of balance.
That could potentially be too. Maybe the divine feminine kind of did it to himself and villainized her own image as the serpent. Like,
well, look at Medusa.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
The Gorgon.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of weird fucking woke interpretations of Medusa going around these days. It's like, it's so bizarre, man. There's like, it's everywhere. Like the resurgence of this occult, like this hidden symbolism that speaks to a part of humanity that has been so suppressed and dormant, and just like it's really crazy. And like, you're gonna see it more and more and more, and you're hearing it more in the scientific community these days about like spirituality, and just like the fact that there's certain things that are like, there's certain things in science that are crossing over with prophecy and spirituality and religion, that are kind of undeniable, that we're in some kind of a shifting of the time, some kind of a something going on. And Just reading what you're saying here.
Yeah, it's a couple guys there you got.
Have you seen The Serpent?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Both of
Yes.
us. That's what I'm painting.
I've seen it in multiple ways. Okay.
Yeah, it's very much integrated as part of our experience, the serpent there.
Do spells work? Yeah, spells work. Words are spells. Spelling of words is like, let me tell you, I've had so many experiences with words.
Oh boy.
I think I mentioned this in the last video. There was that trip in January. I had a crazy break in my consciousness, and the stream that was coming through, everything was coming through in rhymes.
Yeah.
I was speaking in rhymes, and in a way that
Constantly. Yeah.
I couldn't, it wouldn't turn off. I was forcing it to not to
And the way you were enunciating things as well.
Yes.
You heard Terence McKenna speak, right?
Yeah.
It's this kind of very specific enunciation that he does. You were doing that as well at that time.
Yeah, there was something.
Words are important.
Words are important. Yeah. Are we in the Great Awakening? My opinion is yes.
Well, are you waking up? Are people waking up? Do you notice this around you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say yes. I feel like the more we acknowledge it too, the stronger it gets. The more that you believe it in yourself, the more the changes will appear. The more you will feel it. You have to, it's something that it's like,
Yeah.
you need to believe in it.
Like Neville Goddard says, it's signs follow, they do not proceed. They do not proceed.
Yeah, the synchronicities get stronger if you allow it, if you don't fear it, if you listen to it and you let it be. If you let it be real for you, it is. Just don't listen to what anybody else says. If it takes having to keep it to yourself and just live in that flow, do it, because that'll be your magic, and that will be how you show other people how to live in that magic as well. And you'll start it's just a matter of treating yourself better and living a way that you know is the way that is right for you.
Yeah.
Listening to your gut. I don't want to preach what you should be doing. You should know what you should be doing.
Yes. And when you have an experience and a vision, believe it. This is what happened to us in our really big trip that Lauren talks about quite often, is we made a pact with each other that we will not allow each other to forget that this happened or slip into disbelief and thinking, oh, it's just an acid thing. It wasn't a regular acid thing. And when you have that experience, you might want to brush it off eventually. Oh, I just hallucinated that. I just saw it, but thoughts are things. What you saw, when you close your eyes there, that's a real thing. That's a real place. Definitely. So trust it. Trust what you see is real, because the minute that you do, that opens up a gateway, like an activation for you to start receiving more material.
And trusting that what you're experiencing is real in those situations doesn't, I don't want to also necessarily say let in everything that you meet. Okay?
Yes.
Keep your boundaries healthy in those types of experiences. It's something that's not really talked about enough when it comes to psychedelics, because they say, oh, you're opening yourself up. Well, what does it mean to open yourself up, and what does it mean? How do you keep yourself safe? Right? As you keep the ground rules for what energy interacts with your energy.
Yeah.
All right? You saying either out loud or affirming, in yourself that you have a boundary, and that only high vibrational entities with the utmost respect and goodwill for you and humanity may do work with you is
Yes.
a priority.
So be very clear in what that means to you, right? Remember that experience that I shared with you before I even did psychedelics, teenager, I closed my eyes at one point and I had this vision of a bunch of cool stuff happening, and I really leaned into it, kept the vision going without judging it. And eventually I saw like this rainbow bridge open up from wherever I was imagining into my head, and I saw little demons with like cartoon ones with pitchforks smiling, walking their way into my head. And then inside myself, I had the lucidity, because it's just a vision, not a dream. I stopped and said, hey, I don't want that in my head. You guys turn around and leave. And immediately, whoop, the entire row of little cartoon demons flipped and started walking out.
It's really interesting how the mind will create the imagery of
Yes.
like archetypal imagery for these energies. And that's
Yes.
what I think that people take for granted in psychedelic trips as being just like weird visuals or whatever. It's just like, pay attention to the energy in your dreams, the symbolism, the chaos. And I say this to people, maybe what's happening doesn't make sense. How did you feel about what was happening?
That's, yeah.
Because this is psychedelics and dreaming are very connected. This is your subconscious coming to the foreground, and these are your human mind with human image, human like references is going to put picture to energies. This is why you have religion. This is why you have these stories of gods and goddesses playing out these huge cosmic fucking archetypes, because it is almost impossible to decipher pure vibration.
Yeah. It's like this stuff happens on the mental plane, right? And mental plane, it doesn't have an actual visual representation to it. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, it's
right?
vibration.
It's an idea. It's a vibration. But our human mind, not just the brain I'm talking about in the 3D, our mind in higher densities as well, kind of absorbs this information and gives it a visual perception. It's like when I told you that time that I said I could read the matrix code, right? Because what was happening, say this coffee cup right here, to me in 3D, it has a form, shape, it looks a certain way. But what it is in the highest level, it is an archetype. This is simply an idea of a coffee cup that exists within my vicinity, within my consciousness, but it's just a vibration of a coffee cup. But through these layers, it filters out, and in some layer, my own mind creates the perception, like the visual representation of a coffee cup, and it just sits here in 3D, but it is simply a representation of what is actually there, the archetype of the cup, the container for something. At this moment, it is coffee. It's like that's how, in a way, hexes and magic and spells work. It's putting like, you'd think it would be silly to put a couple of objects, regular objects, together in a way, but they're creating an archetypal pattern, right? You're putting archetypes side by side, and when they are together, it gives a new kind of meaning.
There's this Egyptian guy who developed, or basically he didn't develop it, but he kind of like figured out like a sacred geometry hack where you can basically dampen or neutralize the negative frequencies coming out of like high voltage energy towers.
Oh.
Yeah, so he like sets up these little like shapes, basically like, people have like little metal shape. Yeah, like
platonic solids.
Yeah, platonic solid shapes.
Yeah.
And they are set up in very specifically like aligned ways around these things, and it basically neutralizes the negative radiation field from these things that like
Holy
is
crap.
measurable.
Yeah.
It's actually measurable, and they've done it in multiple countries in Europe. Anyways,
Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So that's real shit. Magic, hexes, all that stuff. It's basically attunement to the natural frequencies of the planet, the universe. It all has to do with magnetic fields and stuff.
Yeah. So archetype within the consciousness, it affects the consciousness of the field around it, right? The consciousness field. Like what they're doing there, placing a platonic solid inside of that, like physically, scientifically, you'd think it's a little pyramid made out of wire. There's no way that would dampen radiation. They would look like, is it attenuating the field in such a different way? No, it's just an archetype, a positive archetype next to this kind of a negative one of the vibration of those wires, but having it there on the highest planes of the architecture of the beyond the universe, that's what neutralizes it, right?
Yeah, and then it's like, if for fuck's sakes, why do we just have free energy already? Oh god, the monopoly on the world is absolutely brutal. It's okay. Things are changing. Things are changing. The more people realize that we are the aliens.
Surprise!
Yeah, you guys.
You're the alien.
Okay, so any tips on trying to stay focused with trip intentions? Always seem to enjoy myself but never bring anything back. I've been in those modes. And then, okay, question, are you to yourself, are you usually doing one or the other, like one substance for your trips? Is it mushrooms or LSD? Have you ever tried a combination of the two? Doing less of both might give you something different. And also, do you trip alone or with other people? Sometimes tripping with other people can distract you from fully opening up to yourself, or maybe you need the right trip sitter or right trip buddy so that you can fully get into yourself. Those might be some things to consider.
Yeah.
Are you okay with knowing who you truly are? Because that could be a subconscious barrier for you.
Yeah. Did you have a kind of like a, I don't know, subconscious understanding or even a conscious one that perhaps you are an alien? Do you ever get that feeling growing up? So,
like just feeling different.
yeah, like, or maybe that you are just not from here in some way.
I'm gonna guess, and I'm just gonna throw this out there, that there's probably quite a lot of people that follow me that might also be weirdos, or as the kids like to call, neurodivergent.
Yeah.
For whatever that means. I don't really like to put labels on things because I think that people are just people.
Yeah.
And I think
the
that
same consciousness.
they try to label people that are magical because they don't want people to understand that about themselves.
Yeah, they said it was in psychosis right there. LC speak. You know what? Sometimes, like, not everyone will understand, especially when you have a really, really deep reality break like that. It's very hard to talk about these things without sounding like a psycho to everyone else, all the normies, I mean. And even some people sometimes in the woke community or
And the new age community and the psychedelic community, even people that you think are like on the path, but they're on it intellectually, not in truly in spirit.
Yeah, no, it's not actually happening to them. They're just reading about someone else's experiences there and trying to have that. If you're having that experience, just know that you're not alone. There are other people having it. You're not crazy, but also know your audience. It's like, if you're telling people about what's going on, they're not ready for it. That's kind of on you too, because you're bruising unripe apples. They'll just fall off the tree, right? You got to pick them when they're ripe. And you will feel it. I mean, I feel it with people after sussing them out. I'll let them kind of mention something, and then I give a bit 10% more, want to know than 10%. Then when that wall comes up and you feel it, then yeah, maybe don't give them the whole flood of information that you have. And I understand, like, with being neurodivergent a little bit, you have a favorite subject that you know a lot about and you want everyone else to be as excited as you are for it. Not everyone's ready, and that's okay, but more and more people are getting ready.
And I think a big thing too is if living authentically, like if you're living authentically and you're living in a way that you believe to be true for you, following your dreams, following your passions,
Yeah.
that's a huge key to helping people around you come to you and ask you, what are you doing?
Yes. And guess what? You also attract other weirdos. Like I started on my path and I dropped a few hints at work. We met at work. And then Lauren picked up on it. And I was really excited because I mentioned like aliens and ghost stories and mushrooms. And I could see her just perking up more and more out of the entire room. Like, oh, I found one. She's weird like
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
if you're just authentic, but also it's a balance of you don't have to lie, never lie, but sometimes just don't tell everyone always what's on your mind.
Yeah.
And the good ones, they'll see through you and they'll figure it out, and you will find your group, your clan, your tribe.
And we're part of it.
Yeah.
Even though we're apart from each other, just know that you got weirdos out here that get it, and you're not alone. And you're always free to come in and drop a comment, and I usually read all the comments, so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Really
Yes.
good point, Daddy Bear. Thank you.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Be sure to never neglect physical or mental health aside from your drug of choice. That can play a huge role in the outcome of your trip.
Yes.
Absolute
It's
words
part of
wisdom
setting.
there. Yeah, set and setting.
Like we've been working out together, kind of falling off the train as well, but before we had that really big trip, we were working out and really doing a lot of healthy things, specifically you with horking up that face hugger, right?
Yeah,
And then the thing happened.
The parasite.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough, and I'll drop another reminder here to investigate in parasite cleansing and diet maintenance of intermittent fasting. Look into intermittent fasting and doing that in a healthy way, because there's a lot to that. There's a lot of research behind that. It's I'm not going to tell you what to eat, but like intermittent fasting is probably one of the most valuable things that you can add to your lifestyle.
Yes.
That will help with general parasite maintenance as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to wrap this up pretty soon.
Sounds good. Any closing thoughts? Like
I don't know. Check out Jaeger's art. He's been putting out some really amazing stuff. This art on Instagram is Art by Jaeger, YEGOR, all Art by Jaeger, all one word. And I'll mention that in the description, and yeah, because he's you'll see a couple of his recent paintings. He's been bringing back some of the stuff, and we'll probably talk more about art stuff. Maybe
we talked
in another
about
video.
Yeah, specifically that serpent that you mentioned, the feminine.
Yes.
The whole serpent thing. The vision that we had of it, if we both saw the same thing. I'm painting it right now. If you want to see what kind of we're talking about visually, check out my channel. Thanks for the plug, babe. I appreciate
of
that.
course.
Yeah.
No, it's important though, because that painting is, we'll talk more about that painting specifically because it's relevant to
Just so much
both of the
going on
trips.
in it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, time is just limited at the moment. So, okay. Everybody take care. Thank you for joining and listening. And I will post this as well as the first half of this live is posted. So, yeah, take care.
Peace.